All right, let's jump in. And yeah, so where I want to start is talking about where are we with information and intelligence in general. Obviously, there's a huge acceleration thanks to the internet, which is what we're all here to improve. However, right now it's accelerating even more. Getting access to information and knowledge is obviously expanding, and when we have all these agents coming, it's going to be even faster. And this is a huge opportunity for humanity, and it's one of my main motivations, is that we can help people to get smarter, improve their lives, improve important problems in the world. But ultimately, we're right now sitting at around 12 or 13, around this point, and there's an even bigger increase of accelerating or improving, whichever one of those words or categories you fall into, basically making it better. And we need to coordinate that. But one of the biggest changes that my team and I and a lot of our ecosystem have been working towards for the last 6 years in this space is actually something that has been a big hype in AI right now. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with Richard Sutton's work and David Silver, The Era of Experience. It's an AI paper that came out recently that basically is defining the next huge shift in this curve of how we will go up here. And yeah, essentially it's about moving from knowing things from content to understanding the experience of an agent or a human in the real world or in the digital world. And that this is really the big shift in AI that we need to build for. But what it really means, and I think people at Protocol Berg will also care about this, is it's basically the information of everything in the world and how humans interact with that world. So it's very important to think about, are we going to build centralized or decentralized systems for the era of experience? What's really also been happening is that we've seen that scaling, having pre-training, where there's massive amounts of data, massive amounts of compute and pre-training, is not going to make it. Instead, even in the centralized AI paradigm, we've been moving towards multi-agent coordination systems, where it's not going to be one huge model that rules them all, and your entire life and your entire experience of the world will be determined by this. Rather, a coordinated system of agents that can share intelligence between them. But how do we actually understand which agents, which data sets, which models will understand that we can trust? So the real question of coordinating intelligence comes down to aggregating trust and credentials between agents, whether they're real agents or people or something in between in the future. And we have to solve this equation, which is, what is the intent of the agent or person behind this? What is the amount of energy that is a very resource-based word, but also in terms of our general economics and input and engagement with these systems, and the ultimate intelligence system behind it. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with active inference and Bayesian consensus. This is coming from a neuroscience perspective of intelligence from Carl Friston, who is one of the top neuroscientists in the world from UCL. We study a lot this work and understanding about how this is fitting into the era of experience, how this is going to influence the way agents can ultimately coordinate in this multi-agent systems. And one of the biggest things from active inference to learn and to think about is the free energy principle, which is ultimately trying to avoid surprise and create systems that are able to cope with surprise because somehow they might have experienced it before or they've learned from it in different contexts and are able to apply it. And so what it means is we're not trying to have every single possible outcome. We're rather trying to learn and reduce the surprise and efficiency of the entire system. So overall, we're moving away from internet pages, internet data, scraping this one internet that Ilya is saying has run out. Well, actually, it's now moving to the internet of experiences, which is extremely fluid and dynamic, and has the opportunity to create bigger network effects if we're able to create that equation of intent, energy, and intelligence. And that ultimately leads to something even bigger, which can come into the real world with devices or somehow this connection to our direct brains for experience network effects. The real question that I've been asking myself, and hope that everybody will really take away from this overview today, is who is going to be owning this experience in AI? We have people, agents, combined, adding to this data set of experiences that they're going to share. But whoever is the one who gets to own the entire understanding of those experiences and how they interact with each other really owns almost everything. So we need to think about creating decentralized structures that can really perform well, but also control the governance around this whole system. So we're not learning from content, we're learning from experience. And I don't know if it's just easy to simplify these things sometimes and think about how powerful incentives and rewards really are. Reward is enough is a big quote in AI, and that's something that you have to think about when designing any system. So agents will optimize for the rewards. Do we want that to be centralized and the intention is advertising or some kind of potential political influence, or do we want to understand in the entire system what are the rewards and have a control with governance over that? Something I wanted to really kind of clarify is that scaling is not a problem, but it's just that scaling is different from how we've been understanding it in the AI space so far. This is actually something that we published some information on, so happy to follow up and share that after. But the essential things are that we came up with 8 different overviews of how to think about scaling in this new paradigm. The fact that data isn't a finite resource, it's continuous and can be incentivized and shared continuously, more like solar and renewable energy than having a finite resource that needs to be mined and controlled by some oligarchs. And yeah, we need to have open systems that are able to interact with this knowledge of experience and intelligence that's being shared. And if you don't own the keys to that experience data, then it's not yours. You can't really determine what's going to happen with it. I'm sure people are familiar here with the Society of Minds paper. That's something that we think a lot about. How do we have this sort of open, permissible experience? And yeah, I won't touch on all of them, but feel free to ask about afterwards. Essentially, we're moving to this paradigm of an open infrastructure that can be shared, and the rewards can be the reason for new scaling dynamics to happen. This leaves us at a point with thinking about a vision for the new internet that can hopefully be not so dark and gloomy. But it does have to rely on some fundamental principles that I think the decentralized AI community has been leading for a long time, which is agent-centric control being a very fundamental part of it, but not giving up on the performance and the permissive systems that can come from it. When we think about this new internet and this concept of open learning in the title of this topic, there's really 3 core things to think about, which is how do we standardize interactions between agents to share their experiences and share the intelligence forming? How do we trust those signals, and how do we then incentivize them? So a learning signal is a term that we've been thinking a lot about for a very long time, trying to think about how could we bring this to the world of agent protocols, where we have MCP, A2A now coming up, but they're not so much positioned to have the sharing of intelligence and sharing of experiences. So we tried to build a protocol, and this is something I will show in a later slide, around coordinating learning signals between agents, which is really an adaptation of the W3C's verifiable credential standards and DIDs. And all it is adding is having this understanding of the context and the environment in which a learning of experience was shared. So you have simply an input and output and feedback together, where you can enable agents to now really understand and cryptographically sign different traces of their learning experience. And this enables a beautiful world of MARL, multi-agent reinforcement learning. Yeah, just jump to the next one. So Agent Graph Trust Protocol is an open source protocol that we have been working on in collaboration with different universities around the world and different players in decentralized AI, and active inference community as well. We really think of it as this new HTTP for the Internet of Experience, and it's completely open source. There's no token involved. It's usable across different environments. And it's just standardizing based on the DID principle and standard, this opportunity for agents to share their experience. So we have a research community. If you would like to jump into that, feel free. And I wanted to ground this a little bit more to draw the whole topic to conclusion around coordinating intelligence. Well, what does coordination really mean? Some of the biggest thinkers in this space have worked with companies like Google very early on. There's a book called Understanding Computers and Cognition by Thierry Winograd and Fernando Flores that has really inspired a lot of this research and thought from myself, my team, and our community to understand how do people and computers coordinate, thank you so much, between themselves in an entire system. And this is where we look beyond LLMs as well, understanding that language is more than action. Language is more than language, it is action. And it's a tool for exchange, but it's also shaping the commitments that we have. So these are 4 things that I picked out of this entire rabbit hole of coordination theory literature to really understand what we can do with agent systems. And the more clearly that you can have an offer and a request between agents that is hitting some kind of standards of criteria, which is again reward signals, and that can be trustly verified whether it did or didn't hit the standards of criteria to coordinate around, the better a system can operate at scale. Now what we can even do is not have that alone in different environments, but take that to the meta, where agents can now share the experience that they've had in different contexts without violating any privacy, having that from their agent centricity control, but still being able to share this meta-intelligence instead of having that locked behind proprietary walls and data centers. So this is a title I thought maybe we could write a paper about to bring all this together. Is how do we really scale epistemic integrity and open up the epistemic commons for this new era of experience to share in a coordinated way learning signals between agents. So I just thought it was something I was thinking maybe that's the next version of a paper to publish out there. And yeah, to wrap everything up, again, simplifying things and just walking outside and thinking about these things instead of only reading research papers and building protocols can help to understand how is intelligence and experience already shared in systems around us that are far more intelligent than any one of us. Whether it's biology in society or now in AI, this idea of adapting and sharing these different distributed feedbacks is really at the core of coordinated intelligence and any open learning system before we started to try to code that. It can be from the way that humans learn over time. It can be from looking into biological structures. There's a lot of studies around water and water intelligence. It's also incredibly interesting to learn from these systems and other natural systems. So I would like to always bring this to understand why are we doing any of this, which is more of a philosophical perspective. A lot of this work that we're doing is around cybernetics, these feedback systems, learning from feedback loops, and a lot of the early pioneers of cybernetics, and Norbert Wiener even, are coming from a place of the internet can be a place to improve humanity and improve our experience on Earth. So I just want to always come back to the nice perspective of why to do this. We can make people's lives better, we can make learning better, and we need to understand that we are susceptible to the systems online and offline that are talking and coordinating with us. And your mind is highly programmable. This is an artwork from a great Twitter artist. And it stuck out to me. If you're not programming it, someone will program this for you. When we go deeper into the neuroscience perspective, neuroscientists like Tara Swart are talking a lot about neuroplasticity and how this involvement with the systems, the things that you believe, really do shape and change the direction of your life. And I want to encourage everybody to think about the agency that they have themselves in an agentic system. We can design the internet in a way to coordinate intelligence that betters everybody's own experience of the world, their own happiness, their own learning, and not to have such pessimistic feeds of intelligence. We can now take the direction of decentralized AI to align values and value and really think about exology, the study of value systems, to really understand how to coordinate intelligence. That's the beauty of what the internet can really be. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Madvi. That was great.